Hey guys, welcome to another episode of HalfTime Roomies. As you can see, we've got an all-new setup this week because we're anticipating a very exciting new start for all these new sports that are about to resume.
Yeah,
So we've got the NBA about to resume, we've got the NHL, and
yeah,
we've got what else do we have?
yeah. NFL starts today, and NBA comes back next week. Baseball started 2 days ago,
Yeah,
so all three leagues are back, and
it's
NFL starts in 2 months.
Yeah, and you can't have like a start for like any of these sports without a bit of controversy, obviously,
Yeah,
because a lot has happened in between now and since the games were last playing.
yeah,
We did have a global pandemic, and in addition to the global pandemic, we've also seen a lot of race-related issues, and I think it's like the onus falls on a lot of these teams to address these issues, obviously.
yeah,
So one big thing that's obviously happened since like players resume for a lot of these sports is the Black Lives Matter issue, and so we had Draymond Green actually issue a statement about the Raptors. So what are your thoughts on Draymond's comments about the Raptors? Actually, first let's explain what the comments were.
So Draymond Green came out saying that he's not sure why Canadian teams or Raptors are kind of taking part in the whole movement, the whole protest, because we're Canadian and
We're an entirely
we're a
different
different
country,
country.
is what he
So
said.
in
Yeah.
his mind, we don't. Canada does not have systemic racism or an issue with racism in general. And I mean, Draymond's not the brightest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
He has been kind of ignorant and dumb in the past, so
Yeah.
it's not surprising having heard his previous statements that he might say something like this.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of particularly offended a lot of Torontonians,
Yeah.
just because there is a significant base for BLM within the city. Even within the team itself, you
Yeah.
have a fair number of like I think a majority of the squad is made up of black players
Yep.
and black American players
Yep.
as well. So to make a statement like that and to kind of discount the fact that racism is a global issue, I mean, it can come off as ignorant, but at the same time, I can kind of see where he's coming from. Just like I guess at its very base, because I think he sees it a lot more intensely in America.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can't use that platform, right, to
Yeah.
kind of raise awareness for the issue.
And I mean, the thing is that Canada is such a diverse country. It's not just the racism against black people that happens over here. I mean, even though racism against black people is more rampant in North America, but it's also, I mean, just even during the COVID times, Asians have gotten so much flack uh, and so much backlash with the whole COVID, the whole kung flu virus
Yeah.
that's been going around.
And almost like even anyone who just has an accent is
Yeah,
kind of coming across as like, oh, are you new over here? Did
yeah,
you like self quarantine?
yeah,
It's like, no, man, I've been here for like the past 8 years now, you know? It's like just because I still have my Indian accent doesn't mean I just
yeah.
landed like 3 weeks ago, you know?
It's I mean, Canada is in far better shape than America, but it's very hidden and nuanced. I mean, racism is alive and well in Canada. You just don't see it on the streets or face it every day
Yeah.
the way people do in America. So I mean, yeah, Draymond's just being ignorant, maybe.
Yeah, and I think like it is a lot more pronounced in the States, and that's why you kind of see even an issue which should be as almost universally accepted as this message of like Black Lives Matter. It's been polarizing, right?
Yeah.
So Sam Coonrod, also of the San Francisco Giants, he recently refused to take a knee for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
So what happened over there?
So I mean, Coonrod was the only guy who didn't kneel on the field. The coaches, the manager, all the players were kneeling for in support of BLM, and his reasoning was that as a Christian he cannot stand behind the BLM movement because they're a Marxist movement and they are for the nuclear family, the whole way of living, and so as a Christian his faith does not allow him to kind of like support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Dude, this is ridiculous, man, because I feel like only in America can you basically take an actual issue and then make it about something completely
Yeah,
different? It's like the whole mask wearing thing all over again, right?
yeah,
It's like, oh no, this is like you're infringing upon my freedom when you ask me to like wear a mask. I don't think those things have anything to do with each other. Like Black Lives Matter has nothing to do with your Christianity. Taking a knee has nothing to do
yeah,
against the flag, against the
yeah.
troops.
I'm pretty sure if Jesus was alive today, he would probably take a knee.
Yeah, he would take. Yeah, exactly. I would as a Christian, I would like to think so,
Yeah,
man. Because like I feel people take the wrong things out of like religious texts, you know. But yeah, but like another fucking point of it is just it's so weird that again only in America would a white person be allowed to get away with something like
yeah.
this.
Like even with Laura Ingraham, right? A couple of years ago, she had an issue with LeBron James voicing his opinion on cops killing the black youth of America. And I think her response was shut up and dribble. Whereas when Drew Brees, I think a couple of months ago, came out and said that he cannot respect or stand with or support a movement or people where they disrespect the flag and the anthem by kneeling, she had no issue. She was all over Drew Brees' dick, and it just shows the whole the kind of fucking disparity and the kind of mindset that uh, people like Laura Ingraham have, where a white person voicing their opinion is so profound to them.
Yeah, and it's
Whereas,
free of
yeah,
consequence.
and whereas a black person, when a black person voices his opinion on actual crimes that are happening against their community,
Yeah,
it's really bothersome to them.
yeah.
It I think in Laura Ingram's head and people like Laura Ingram, I think they I think in their head they kind of allow people of color to exist in the country as long as they exist alongside
And play by
their
their
yeah play by
rules.
their rules.
Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, and I think a lot of it is basically like smoke and mirrors, right? It's you're basically saying like, oh yeah, no, I don't agree with this whole movement, but then you're making it about something else.
Yeah,
You're bringing in God and you're bringing in this, but basically what you're doing is you're taking a very firm stand against the actual issue. Because if you didn't care too much about it either way, you'd still kind of take the knee, be able to empathize at least.
yeah.
But I think that does not exist in America.
I mean, Black Lives has nothing to do with Jesus or Christianity. It's just
Yeah, nothing to do
it's a
with the
simple fact
troops.
that
Yeah,
black people are disproportionately
affected by
affected way more than
police
people of other
brutality specifically.
ethnicities, and this
Yeah.
is just, I mean, it's just plain ignorance. But more than ignorance, it's just outright racism.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And the fact that these kind of things they kind of avoid consequence, like say something like Kaepernick taking the knee in the first place,
Yeah,
had to deal with a lot more consequence, literally not being able to play for his own team,
Yeah.
as opposed to someone like this who's made an equally outrageous statement. Well, I'm not
Yeah.
saying outrageous, and that's equally as in like it's caught the
Politically
media attention.
charged.
Yeah, politically charged
Yeah,
statement, but and he's scot free, which
Yeah.
basically comes down to the very issue of Black Lives Matter again,
Yeah.
right?
and I mean, for that matter, even fuck the NFL, because when Kaepernick was doing this years ago, nobody stood with him,
Yeah.
or nobody kneeled with him, and then now all of a sudden, Roger Goodell and all the NFL team owners, they're
Is
all
saying,
coming out
oh,
and
it's
saying, you know
true,
what,
Black Lives do matter.
Kaepernick was
Yes,
right
he
all
was
along.
right.
He
Yeah,
was right
So,
all this while. We need to show support for the Black Lives Movement, whereas Kaepernick still will not be given any role in any capacity in the NFL probably.
yeah,
So he will still have to kind of take the whole brunt of him starting a movement, which caught fire years later, which everyone realizes he was right about it.
yeah.
But NFL, like, fuck Goodell and fuck the NFL and fuck all the owners who fucking said back then that, you know what, who said now actually, in hindsight, we probably should have stuck with Kaepernick, or we should have taken Kaepernick back then. But they still haven't
It's
yet.
yeah, exactly. It's too little, too late, man. You're making a statement about it like now, and you're doing absolutely nothing to
Yeah.
address it. But yeah, man. But what? Yeah, this is basically like at the heart of the very issue that
Yeah.
we're talking about, right? But I think there are still like some steps being taken to address racism in America. So again, another thing that happened recently was the Washington Redskins. They've dropped their name.
Yeah.
Well, they've dropped the Redskins name. Yes. So what are they called now? The Washington Football
Football
Team.
team.
Just generic.
Yeah, so officially for now, they're just called the Washington Football Team. I don't think they've announced a date. as to when they're going to reveal the new name, the new nickname that they'll have. But yeah, for now it's just the Washington football team, which is such an intimidating name. The
Just
football
the
team.
football team. Everyone else, we don't know what we're playing right now.
But it's the
But
football
we're the
team's coming.
Washington football team. But do you think so? There's a lot of people, well, especially like a lot of comedians and stuff like Andrew Schultz and everyone who are kind of like talking about, oh, like this is like political correctness gone too far. And they're saying it's almost like cancel culture for a team. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I'm kind of divided only because maybe I've been watching the NFL for almost all my life. I'm kind of attached to the Redskins name. And I think Redskins, alongside the Lakers, are the only two teams who I don't support, yet I own some merchandise of theirs.
Okay.
So my uncle back in the day, I think it's like 15 years ago, he gave me a signed Chris Cooley jersey of the Redskins. And I still have that. I think I even have a couple of Redskins caps and a football as well. So I kind of have an attachment to the name Redskins, but I mean, you know what? It is offensive.
Exactly. You can empathize with,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
with where
As
the
much as
movement
I,
is coming from.
yeah, and as much as I like the name and the history of the team and all, I think it was high time for the name to be retired. There's quite a few names floating around actually, like the Washington Generals, the Warriors, the Red Hawks,
Oh, yeah.
the Red Wolves. So
Well, what is your pick for name?
I I think Washington Generals would be a good name. But I did see a couple more recommendations where one person was recommended Washington Monuments
Okay.
and Washington Presidents.
Oh, dude, that's
Yeah,
terrible.
that's
Washington Presidents is the
yeah.
worst, man.
Also, given the fact that the president, I don't think has had any physical activity in his life, I think
Yeah.
that'll be the worst name.
Dude, I think they should call it the Washington Swampy Swampersons.
Oh yeah,
The Washington Swampmen,
Washington Swamp Man.
I think. And then, like every other team, their entire like job for the entire league is just to drain the swamp.
Could probably call it the Washington Tangerines because the president is orange.
Yeah. Yeah, then in other racist news, also in the world of sports, I mean, there was a lot of racism that happened in a very short span of time, I feel, this week at least.
There's so much that's been brought to light, right? I mean, I just feel like the amount of racism just in sports, and this is just sports. We haven't even spoken about other fields or other areas where racism is prevalent, but just sports itself, it's kind of overwhelming
Oh,
with the
yeah.
amount of stuff that's going on every day.
And especially like with American sports, man, this seems to be like an inbuilt facet of it, right? Like every now and then you'll see like say like in football and stuff, you'll see like a news like article coming out about like, fans who are a certain way or like
Yeah.
one player and then everyone comes out and like, denounces him. But every week I feel like there's some new thing about like just like a politically charged statement by like some
There was the
player or
Bubba
the
Wallace
other.
issue as well, right? The NASCAR issue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God,
it's
dude. Yeah, the
so
news.
fucking ridiculous. I mean, so the guy, the only black NASCAR driver, he comes out. He's standing for BLM, and a lot of NASCAR drivers are standing with him, which is good for a change. I mean, it's a good thing happening. NASCAR decides that there's not going to be any more Confederate flags in the stadium. There won't be any more of the white supremacist symbolism allowed into the stadiums now. So people are outraged because they cannot show their KKK-ness.
KKK-ness.
I mean, and then a week later they find a noose in his garage, right? And so eventually FBI does the investigation. And it turns out that it was just kind of this pulley liver kind of thing that they were just using to open and shut the thing.
Yeah.
But it was shaped in a noose, in the form of
Form
noose.
of a news. Yeah.
So the matter was cleared out. It was fine. Okay, so there was no racism involved. That matter died off, but not in the minds of conservative news anchors, right?
And leadership, man.
And
Because
leadership.
even Trump
Yeah.
came out and basically said that, oh, it was a hoax.
Yeah.
And like, there's no racism. And it's like, how can you not acknowledge that this exists? Like you have like a Confederate flag still. It's built on racism.
This I'm forgetting the name of the guy. I'm not surprised because the guy is who gives a fuck about him. But so some fuckface who I think has had like participated in 10 races in his 30 or some year career in NASCAR racing. He, I think, up and left and tweeted out saying that he's going to be leaving NASCAR. He cannot stand by an organization that does not allow him to uh, show his ancestry and his heritage.
Yes, yeah,
So basically, he could not put out
classic.
any more KKK flags or couldn't wear his hood. So he was all upset, and so the NASCAR tweets out. We literally had to Google to see who you
Who
are.
you are, yeah. And I saw another really good tweet too, because they were like, you know what, it's good to see you go because you never really won any of these races anyway, and it's clear that you're not good at race related issues. Brilliant, man. This is what should
Oh
happen
shit!
with these people, man.
Oh
Just
fuck!
takedowns, I feel.
Name and shame, man. Name and shame.
Yeah, for sure.
I think stop blacking out names on Facebook and Twitter. Just name and shame. Make it public that these businesses, these people, they should not be a part of this civil society. They need to be pushed out and or at least
It's
educated
yeah,
in some
it's high
manner.
time because I think like you need to. I think the time for like moderate steps
Yeah,
is done. It's gone.
yeah.
Like it's been tried.
When one side has gone full far right fascist, you cannot still try to hold a balance and be in the center.
Yeah,
You have to counter it. It's,
yeah,
it's 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 just the way it is.
yeah. And speaking of the far right, the IOC also had to delete a tweet recently.
The furthest right.
Oh my god, dude. I don't think this is the time to joke about it. But yeah, but basically the IOC had to delete a tweet that
Yeah.
showed swastikas in well, I guess it was the original, the first 1936
So torch
Berlin
relay.
torch
Yeah.
relay, and it showcased swastikas, and obviously that infuriated quite a few people, so they had to delete the tweet, and then they issued an apology statement
Which makes
again.
sense. I mean, it is insensitive. I mean, it's not. I don't think, especially in this current political climate, it's not a good idea to go about showing Nazi symbolism. We get the idea that you probably wanted to show the torch relay itself, but that was not the video. Maybe you should have put out. You should have probably put
Yeah.
out something more recent, more sensitive, and more up with the times.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but I think in this case, like I guess the intent was not as
the intent
bad.
wasn't
Like, it's not
malicious,
malicious. Yeah,
but there was
it's just it's a case of ignorance or like
Yeah.
just a lack of attention to.
there was
Well, I
oversight.
don't even
Yeah.
want to say attention to detail because it's pretty hard to miss those.
It's pretty hard to miss a swastika.
and multiple swastikas
Yeah.
that were there at the top of that image.
Yeah.
But in lighter news, though, the Cleveland Indians are also deciding to drop their name and transition towards something a little less
Yeah.
offensive because, that's the nice thing to do in life.
Yeah. So the Cleveland Indians, I think the main issue with them exists that their logo is damn racist.
Yeah.
It's probably the most racist logo that exists in sports. I would say right now. So I think the issue is more with the logo. The name as well is it is insensitive, but it's not probably that problematic or bothersome as like the Redskins was. The Redskins was an outright racist name, right? So what Cleveland has done, or what the organization is now doing, is that they're reaching out to local native leaders to kind of discuss which direction they should take with the naming or with the logo itself. So it seems that the logo will be gone. The name, who knows? Maybe if like they might stick with it, they might not stick with it. But I think it's high time that a few things change.
Here's my suggestion for it. I think you keep the name Cleveland Indians, but the logo is just me and you. So it's
Ooh,
the other
Indians.
Indians. And I think that's the way to go about
Yeah.
it. Everyone wins
Yeah.
in that case.
It's the actual intended Indians that Columbus set out to
To
discover.
discover, yeah. And it won't be like a obviously offensive like image of
Yeah.
us. It'll be like us in suits and stuff.
Yeah, or
doing
just,
well.
just doing this.
Yeah.
And we
Oh
can
yeah,
have
doing this.
Yeah, and there can be hashtag halftime roomies.
Yeah,
beneath it.
exactly. And then they use the halftime roomies
Yeah.
logo.
So Cleveland roomies.
Yeah, the Cleveland Roomies. I think that's, you know what, you can have that one for free, Cleveland. The city of Cleveland will be happy to know that we have done this for them.
Yeah, I see. I think like finally after LeBron James leaving, I guess they're getting two big superstars.
That's true,
So they should
man.
be happy with that.
Yeah, man. City of Cleveland, we are
Yeah,
coming for you.
yeah.
Okay, so cool. That's was there any other racism that we have to talk about?
I mean, we can keep going on.
Have we solved racism with this episode?
Um, it's hard to say. Let's.
I think it's easy to say. I think the answer is no. But the answer is we keep trying.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this issue will obviously like keep going on, and there'll obviously
There's never
be
going to be an end to racism.
yeah,
It's unfortunate.
yeah,
But
it's an
just the way it
unfortunate
is.
truth, but I think there will be like these issues, and we may have to like keep talking about it too.
Yeah.
But it's good to see, especially like teams finally waking up to the fact that these issues do exist, and it's on them to
Yep.
address the issues as well.
Yep.
So, yep, that's been another episode for us at Halftime Roomies. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And the podcast we'll eventually do, no?
Yeah, we'll do the podcast as well. And Black Lives Matter.
Black lives do matter.